This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Auto insurance can all seem the same until it comes time to use it. So don't get stuck paying more for less coverage. Switch to USAA Auto Insurance and you could start saving money in no time. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
Hi, and welcome to the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. My name is Bill Moore. I'm the founder of the Food Truck Training Group on Facebook, co-owner with my beautiful wife, Melissa, of our own food truck. It's called Food Truck 101, and I'm the executive director of the National Street Food Vendors Association, which is a nonprofit dedicated to education, advocacy, and uplifting all food vendors. Today, we're going to be talking about the 5 reasons that food trucks go out of business. And there's probably a whole bunch more than 5, but these are the top 5. So we know that the food truck industry is booming. There's a whole bunch of people that say it's saturated. They don't understand what saturated means, because fast food was saying that they were saturated in the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and yet there's still new companies that come on board and are doing a whole bunch of money. There's no such thing as oversaturation. There is such a thing as there being a shakeup in the industry where the old people that don't keep up, the old companies that don't stay current, go away. It's not because of oversaturation, it's because they chose not to be competitive, and then somebody else just came in and stole their bacon, basically. So it's not oversaturated, but there are a number of food trucks out there. The food truck industry, like every other industry that's out there, when somebody starts a new business, we know that most likely it's going to close. And why do we say that? Because about 60% of new businesses close within the first 3 years. And that's pretty consistent no matter what industry you're in. The only industry that does worse than food or food trucks is going to be construction. It's another industry to get into relatively low cost, but you also got to know how to market and how to deliver on your abilities as a builder. So a lot of construction companies open and then close. But we're pretty darn close to the same statistic. So what's the number one cause of failure for a food truck? That would be financial mismanagement. Now, we don't ever go into business thinking we're going to mismanage our money, but that's what we end up doing. The top reason within that financial mismanagement is there's just not enough cash flow. So people get into the business. It has a low entry point. So you have financial mismanagement, the cash flow problems, there's inadequate budgeting. They don't even think about how to budget. The example that I give in my classes, and I do this a lot, if you're going to have a 25% food cost, that's the thing that I tell people, you got to have around 25%. It can be a little bit higher, a little bit lower, but you're going to settle around 25 unless you sell certain products. That'll be a little bit different, but we use 25 as an example. So 25% food cost. How do you run a 25% food cost? Well, the first thing is you got to buy food. Okay, makes sense. How much food do you buy? Oh, I don't know. Well, yeah, you do. And if you don't know, you're going to be one of those people that's going to go out of business. If you're going to do $10,000 a week in sales, so in order to do $10,000 a week in sales and run a 25% food cost, that means you need to have 25% of $10,000 on hand for inventory. So 25% of $10,000 is $2,500. If you're out buying $3,000 or $4,000 worth of food, you're probably going to use it, and it'll generate the $10,000, and then you'll wonder why you don't have money at the end of the month because you're not running a 25% food cost. You're running a 30 or a 40% food cost because of what you bought. You want to make sure that if you're going to do that $10,000, you only have on hand about $2,500 worth of inventory. That forces you to make sure that inventory lasts so you can hit that $10,000 level with the food that you have on hand. So you got to budget. You got to think ahead. You got to figure out that cash flow. We talked about the low entry point. On average, a food truck to start up, $50,000 on average. Now, yes, there are people that do it way cheaper, but they don't account for everything. The ones that do it way, way cheaper typically have bought their own food truck and tried to convert it in some way. So they've either bought a box truck or they bought a cargo trailer, and they're doing all the work themselves. Fantastic. Problem is, they're not accounting for the labor. So while they feel like, oh, I'm saving all this money, well, not really. You're wasting all this time. Your time has value, and you chose not to value your time So there's people that will say, I bought a $3,000 or $4,000 cargo trailer and I did all the work myself. And they bought all the material and got the thing started for $15,000. Well, good for you. You didn't account for one bit of labor. So by the time you accounted for all the labor that you put into it, now you're up $30,000. So it's not as simple as, just do your own. Plus, you got to consider that the length of time that it takes most people to get their business started by doing their own build, they've also lost sales because they weren't open as quick as they could have been had they just gone out and bought one. Some of the negatives that happened when it just comes to cash flow is if we have decent credit but not enough to buy something outright, we max out our credit cards. So now we have nothing to fall back on with our emergencies. So cash flow causes about 82% of all small businesses to fail. And it's no different in the food truck industry. The second reason that food trucks fail is they don't have a good location. Or they don't have a process to select good locations. They just set up anywhere. Oh, there's a vacant parking lot, I'll set up there. They think, and sadly a lot of the food truck groups out there contribute to this, is a food truck is a magnet. They need us. How many people have you seen respond to, they need us more than we need them? If that was honestly true, then you could go set up anywhere. Throw open the window and have a line of people. That is not true. So don't become arrogant and think that events need you or that businesses need you like breweries, because they don't. If they want to charge you a rent to be there, well, guess what? They have something that you don't have. You should be paying for it. They have ground to sit on. They have customers coming to their business, and you don't have either one of those. So yes, paying a rent makes sense. But there are so many food truck owners that will toss out a rent without actually investigating the location. Is there enough foot traffic? Is there enough driving traffic? Do the people actually stop? Is this brewery as big of an attraction as they purport themselves to be? Go check out the brewery. Go check out the business. Check them out when you plan on selling. If you're going to sell in the evening, well, how busy are they in the evening? If you walk into the brewery and it's only got a couple people in it, well, guess what? You ain't going to be any busier. The brewery's hoping you're going to be the attraction, and you're hoping the brewery's going to be the attraction, and you're both not going to attract anybody. There are things that you can do to make sure that the location selection makes sense. Now, here's a couple of statistics that you want to think about. 55% of diners decide where to eat based on convenience. Can I get into the parking lot? Can I get out of the parking lot? Will they be fast enough? All those things add to convenience. Are they close to my home? Are they close to my work? That all speaks to convenience. So sitting up somewhere where the rent is super cheap, but it's 5 miles outside of town, you're probably going to be slow. Can you develop that location to be busy? Absolutely. But then it falls back to, do you have enough cash to be able to ride out those slow months while you market? Because marketing costs money. It doesn't just happen because you bought a food truck and throw open the window. It is not a people magnet. You got to be where people are. The third reason that food truck owners fail, and we've already kind of talked about it a little bit, is marketing. They do not market. Great food is not enough. 41% of guests research social media before deciding to eat at a new business. If you're not on social media, which is marketing, you're not going to get guests coming to your business. So you got to be on social media. That's part of marketing. But you can't stop with that. Well, I got a Facebook. I'm marketing. No. You have a social media account. Marketing is making sure there's content on the social media that people want to read that goes beyond, here's my food, come buy it. You got to have consistent posts that have nothing to do with, please come buy my food, because you want people to associate you with good feelings and then good food. Ask questions, get people to comment back and forth. You probably know what the busiest food truck is in your area. Stalk them on social media, see what they're doing. But social media is not just the only marketing tool that you have out there. You got to go physically visit people. You got to network. We talked about networking many times. You've got to give people a reason to come visit your food truck. But they got to know you exist first. It's not just a good food and a good service, because those things are experienced after they've made the decision to come visit you. Marketing is getting them to come visit you. So beyond social media and beyond consistent content that is not just, here's a picture of my food and I'm at Fit to Main today. Got to have some variety in that content. Then you also got to get out there and shake some hands. You got to let people know where you're going to be. If you're going to be setting up at a brewery, the brewery's got most likely other businesses around it. Hey, I'm going to be at this brewery this week. Come on, check me out. Can I put this flyer up in your break room? Can I pass these menus out to your employees? Can I leave a stack of menus here so that your customers can see where we're going to be? You have to market your business, and you have to physically get out and do things. It is not just social media hiding behind your cell phone or your computer. Since we're talking about reasons that food trucks fail, and this is actually technically, in my mind, the number one reason, is regulatory challenges. A lot of people don't ever get beyond, oh my God, I have to have a permit. I have to collect sales tax. I have to send sales tax. What do you mean I can't set up here? There's zoning laws I have to follow. There are so many regulations out there that not only affect us as food truck owners, but just affect businesses in general that most people don't even realize exist until they start doing a little bit of research and they go, this is too much. I'm not going to even get in the business. So there's a whole bunch of the people that quit before they ever get started. But even the ones that do get beyond that initial, okay, I can do this, and start to do all the permitting process and the licensing process, those regulatory challenges are ongoing. Things change all the time. There are still cities today that are putting up zoning rules that you can't vend within so many feet of an existing restaurant, even though there'll be two restaurants side by side that are within that footage boundary. So it's one of those that you've got to have your ear to the ground all the time when it comes to regulations. There's cities today that are trying to limit the number of hours that you can be open. Orlando, Florida, for example, tried to pass a rule last year that said that the food trucks in this particular part of town couldn't be open past midnight, because they were drawing too many unruly people, even though up and down the area where they were, all the unruly people were coming out of the bars. And the reason the food trucks were there is because they wanted to sell those drunk guests some food. But some city councilmen said, oh no, we can't do that. We can't sell food to drunk people past midnight, but we can let them drink all night long. We don't care about that. But heaven forbid those food trucks be there. It happens. And it becomes a nightmare when you don't keep your ear to the ground and realize that, oh no, I now had to move because I can't be here past 10 o'clock at night because somebody has complained. Now, here's the one that's going to hit really close to home, and that is operational inefficiencies. Having a great recipe and selling whatever your food is cooking, but that's not operations, because operations includes not only cooking, but it includes the storage and the prep, the cleanup, and then what do we do with the food after it's cooked? How do we hold it? What do we do with the food that doesn't sell? All of those processes are operations, but that's only the food part. Then you got the operations on how do we wait on a guest? What do we say when they step up to the window? How quick are we going to be? We're going to take one order every minute, one order every 10 minutes. How fast are we going to be? How quick does the food come out? Those are all operational concerns. Where are we going to park? How quickly can we get set up once we get parked? How quickly can we tear down once we close? How do we secure all the food and all the equipment so it doesn't go bouncing all around the inside of the trailer or truck as we drive down the road? All those things speak to operations, and all of those things can become a nightmare for people that aren't organized, or that think that I'm a great cook. People love my mac and cheese. I'm going to make a mac and cheese truck. And then they can't get the service down. They can't get the organizational process down just so that people want to come back. Now, this is not one of those businesses where, they'll wait on good food. Yeah, they sure will. Because I can tell you what, they'll wait on it because you already got their money. And once you feed them and you say, well, how was that? They're going to say it's great, because they don't want to argue with you. They know grandpa's going to be slow, so they ain't coming back. Or they're not coming back as frequently as they would if you were faster. Food service is all about speed and efficiency. It has always been about that, whether you're going to McDonald's or whether you're going to the fanciest 5-star Michelin restaurant you can find. It's all about efficiency. They want to turn those tables. They want to get you in, get you fed, and get you out. Now, they'll act like they want you to sit there, and they'll bring you coffee, and they'll bring you all the after-dinner nonsense. But they're selling you all that. They're selling you the experience. But they have in their mind how long they want you to sit there before they want you to go away. So they can put another table in there. Some places is a 45-minute table turn. Some places is an hour. Some places is 15 minutes. Each one of those restaurants is different in what their goals are, but trust me, they have a goal. Their operational efficiency meets with their expectation of their sales. If you're not efficient and you're not consistent with that efficiency, people will not come back. The people that go to a restaurant knowing that it's going to be an hour-long dinner, they know that they are going to get their food in 15 or 20 minutes, and then they're going to be able to sit there half hour, 40 minutes eating. But at some point, they're going to get up and leave. Some restaurants have no problem with that, and the guest knows that that's how long that meal is going to be. But when they come to a food truck, and Monday the food truck is getting the food out in 15 minutes because they're not very busy, but then Friday when the same people come and it takes 45 minutes to get the food out because the food truck is operationally inefficient based on the volume that they're doing. Now that guest has two different experiences. One was acceptable, one was not acceptable. So now they're having that conundrum of, do I go back a third time or not? If they go back a third time, it's going to be when they have the time to waste, knowing you're going to be slow. But they're not going to go back when they have that time crunch and know that, well, it's a gamble. I don't have the time to waste today. I will go somewhere else that can be more operationally efficient. It is all about you understanding what's going to be happening with your business operationally and becoming efficient and consistent. So I'm giving you 5 different scenarios on what happens why food truck owners end up closing. And this applies to pretty much every business anyway. But in our industry, it is a sad thing that somebody spends literally their life savings only to have to be closed within a year or two. And not everyone will say it was a terrible business. They will try to paint the most positive picture they can so they can sell you their used equipment. But once they've sold it, then the horror stories come out. Yeah, I was dead. It's never their fault. They didn't market. They weren't efficient. It's just all about what are you going to do to make your business better. This is a tough business. Or it's an easy business. It just depends on who you are. For me, it's easy. All we got to do is sell food. But it hasn't always been easy. There were times that we struggled, and we learn from those struggles and don't make those same mistakes twice. You got to learn your business. Keep listening to the podcast. Keep going to seminars. Keep going and improving your personal assets, what's between your ears, and then apply what you learn. Thank you guys so much for listening to the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. If you're finding everything helpful, consider subscribing. And if you love what we do, show some support. There's a link in the description to make that happen. Until next time, you guys have a profitable week.